Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neal. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with
What's
me.
going on, Daryl?
Man, oh man, oh man. I got me a special guest today, and we need to be talking about this voting thing and the redistricting. So today I got State Senator Antonio Parkinson.
I appreciate that introduction. I'm state representative.
Yeah.
That was a demotion.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, one of the hardest working representatives we have in Nashville.
no
Thank
doubt.
you, man, for being here,
yeah,
brother.
man. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
We
sir.
appreciate it.
So if you have Facebook Live, YouTube Live, you have the SVP TV network app, you have Apple TV, or you have Roku TV, you can call in when the number lights up, and we'll answer any question you have. It don't matter what that question is. Now I'm gonna tell you, we got a politician today that can help you in a lot of different endeavors. So you should call in, at least find out what's going on in your area.
And help you understand how we got here and what our roadmap is to get out of this where we are now.
Yeah. So let's give our shout outs, Jerome. Shout outs to California, shout outs to Little Rock, Arkansas, shout outs to Memphis, Shelby County, shout outs to Mississippi, shout outs to the great state of Missouri. Shout outs to my family, Jerome's family,
Hey, family.
and Antonio's family.
All right. Don't forget to call your wife's name, Daryl.
Oh, and especially Adrian. So, you know, the Supreme Court comes down with an opinion basically talking about Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and said that it's now unconstitutional. Mm-hmm. And so race cannot be a factor or consideration in districting. And in fact, you know, there were so many cases before that, Jerome,
Yes.
that basically, you know, laid out what we call the roadmap.
That's right.
Or the punch ticket.
That's right.
Of whether or not you were being, your
That's right.
redistricting was discrimination.
Start decisive.
Plenty.
Yeah, yes.
Plenty
that
that
said yes.
And all of a sudden, this court basically said, well, Section 2 is no good.
Yes.
And we're going to take that out.
And you know, and one thing about it too, Daryl, that you notice that they didn't do it all at once. They did it piecemeal. They started, and that's one of the things that we lack. We're reactionary instead of planning. But these folks been planning this for a while.
Yeah. Well, they redistricted the map in 2022, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they
2011, I think.
did a little tweaking in
A
2022.
little bit at a time.
And but this time, the tweaking is drastic.
Oh.
What is redistricting?
So redistricting is redrawing the lines, congressional boundaries, or the state legislative boundaries, or your local boundaries for like your county commissions or your city council members. And what it's supposed to look like is, you know, every 10 years we have a census. That's why we always push people, fill out the census,
Right.
fill out the census, fill out the census. Because that population, that population count is what determines how the lines are drawn under normal circumstances.
Yes.
And obviously, this is an abnormal circumstance, you know, with the gutting of the voting rights amendment of 1964, and Voting Rights Act. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
of
Voting Rights Act.
1964.
You're right.
And you know, what's interesting too about the Tennessee situation is that the Voting Rights Act of 1964 said that you know, in order to allow for representation for people of color and others, you had to, you know, make sure that there were lines that were drawn so that they could choose their own representation. And most of the time, those lines are drawn in a contiguous space, you know. So, like for instance, Memphis and Shelby County, District 9, which really actually does not fit the ruling from the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act, because after that act was completed and became law, there were districts that were created to fit the Voting Rights Act.
Gotcha.
However, District 9 in Memphis and Shelby County was not one of those districts that came out of the Voting Rights Act of 1964.
Gotcha.
Memphis and Shelby Counties District 9 was an organic district that was actually had more white people than black people after the Voting Rights Act.
Right.
And so they didn't create it as one of those districts that came because this law was passed in 1964.
Right.
So utilizing the excuse that, okay, the Supreme Court said we can do this now, so we're going to do this to this district, which is District 9, which encompassed the majority of Shelby County, that argument did not fit because this is an organic district that literally went from majority white to black simply because of the population in Memphis and Shelby County.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's almost, I don't want to say disgusting, but it's pretty close to that.
Well, you should say that.
I've been trying to find another word.
Yeah.
I think disgusting works fine.
Well, whatever word that gets you
It's
to
egregious.
the
It's diabolical.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And here's the thing, and
It's
I'll
bullshit.
ask you about this later on in a minute here. So District 9, which encompasses Shelby County, or what used to be Shelby County, and then District 7 used to be Nashville. Was it 7 or 8? 7.
5 was. I don't know. I don't know. But eight was, tied to Shelby County.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, and so we missed, or people just didn't do anything about it. They had really restructured that line up there a lot. In Nashville a lot.
They
Because
chopped Nashville up.
They chopped it up.
Yeah.
And what they did is they put each piece into one of those Republican districts,
Yes.
which means that it will water down all the Democrat vote in that district.
Right.
And then hence, for all that you can remember,
Right.
no Democrats in the state of Tennessee.
I'm
sorry, one Democrat. in the state
but
of
it's
Tennessee.
it's strange that whenever they want to do something, they always violate the rules. Because there's a rule that says you're not supposed to redistrict within a certain period of time before an election. There's also the state constitution says redistricting occurs at this particular time. And no other time, I heard them shouting on the floor the other day. Explain that to us.
So according to their own law, and I don't know about it being in the Constitution, but but according to their own law, state law, redistricting would take place basically after the census and every 10 years, and not during an election.
That's what,
not during an election, and they undid all of that in one swipe by getting rid of the law that said that it'll be done in this time and after this date and so on and so forth. And but what's really scary about that is this. So when they basically deleted that law, that language in the code, it left it wide open. So what that means is they could change the lines today, as a matter of fact, and in the middle of an election, and see that election may not be going the way they wanted. Call a special session and change it again. No, but this is serious.
Oh my God! Yeah,
that's crazy.
And this is what Louisiana is doing right
That's
now.
what Louisiana. I knew that. Louisiana. That's where that case came out of Louisiana.
Right. That case, but this is different. The case Calais versus Louisiana, it came out of Louisiana.
Right.
But Louisiana is changing the lines after votes have been counted.
Oh yeah, that's right. In fact, they halted the election in order to change the lines.
Right. And so nobody can tell you if those votes are going to be counted, what they're going to be counted towards. Are these people going to have to vote again, so on and so forth? And you think about what's happening here in Tennessee with District 9 now being changed. And I want you to think about this, right? And I'm glad we're saying this because this is bringing some more thought to my mind. Okay, so you think about the amount of money that's been spent between Congressman Steve Cohen and State Representative Justin Pearson, who are running against each other in District 9 now. But also, what about those individuals that have contributed to their
I was about
campaigns?
to say that.
So now,
Yeah.
and this is what brought to my mind,
Yeah.
they now have cause
Yeah,
to sue.
that's right.
Also,
That's right.
because they're being disenfranchised based on them making a contribution.
That's right.
To one candidate or another, and their contributions now, which were directed towards them running in District 9,
Yeah.
and now those two individuals may or may not even live in District 9.
That's exactly
based on
right.
what these new how these new lines
That's
are.
exactly right.
Right.
And then what about the fact, I mean, we hear them always talk about the sacredness of voting, and then you turn around and do something like this, because can you imagine the confusion that's going to happen? Because they only got 80 days now, right, in order to prepare for the November election, right?
Well, and it's
the
not
August,
even the August
the August election, yeah.
Yeah.
So they got
Yeah.
so the time period is shortened. What about the confusion that it's going to cause? Who am I voting for?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
In fact, there's nobody on the ballot that I even recognize because there's
Yeah.
been no campaigning.
Well, not just that. Two things. One, the sacredness of voting. The lie detector detected that was a lie.
Oh.
Yeah. So they don't give a shit about who votes, unless it's their own.
You're gonna pull the cover off of me.
And then to your point about I don't know who these people are on the ballot. It's interesting when you look at the way these districts are drawn. You could have somebody that's literally from out in the field in doggone Polk County
Oh, yeah.
somewhere
Oh,
yeah.
that you never ever
Never-
have any
no,
idea
that's
who
right.
was.
No, I mean, that was,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, you could have somebody from, and these lines, these districts, they go from Memphis in most cases and butt up against Nashville.
Yeah.
And
Oh, they do this little thing like I was telling
Yeah.
him about that the other day.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do this thing where it makes this unnatural turn.
Yeah.
It starts and instead of running, so Memphis is on the far west,
Southwest corner.
Southwest corner, and then so you have it right here, and then what they did is they put the district all the way across at the bottom
Yeah.
of the South.
Yeah.
Which
That's District 9.
This District 9.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I done memorized this map so much. I can tell you, so District 9 would go from the way I look at it on the map, because they didn't have the street version yet when I saw it. But you can think from Airways and Winchester or Brooks, all the way down the border of Tennessee, the southern border, and all the way up and hooks up north till you're almost in Nashville.
Right, yeah.
Think about what I'm saying. Till you're almost in Nashville.
Yeah.
So a district that is at least a 3-hour drive.
300 miles, isn't it?
To campaign. That's
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
The other district, District 8, covers most of Raleigh and Cordova, and then some of that area. I would say Eads, and then goes into Jackson, Tennessee, and then further in I think it's Perry County,
Yeah.
which butts up against the county right before Davidson County.
Wow.
Then the third district, which is District, is that 5? I don't know if that's 5. 5, yeah, thanks Q. 5 goes from around downtown Nashville, and then goes north up into Ripley, and then across, and I don't know if it goes all the way into, I think it goes into Clarksville.
Yeah.
Or somewhere close to that. So,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and see, here's the sad part of it. If we had something that we could do, because think about it from this perspective. If we file a lawsuit, it's going to go right back to that court that did away with Section 2. So, what is your recourse?
Putting number one, having some good ass attorneys.
Yeah.
That actually file a lawsuit.
Right, that's
right?
just- that's- yeah,
'cause the
that's-
law is the law.
Right.
Yeah.
Still, and having some good attorneys to make the argument.
That's right.
This is what the law says, and this is how it should be interpreted. That matters. Some of the things, and making it public. You know, letting the public see, you know, this stuff in broad daylight, and you know, so sometimes, you know, you have to shame people into doing the right thing.
Right.
But do they have shame? That's the first question. I think some of those people don't even have shame because they can say some things that we clearly know
Yeah.
they're not upholding it.
You know, sometimes this is what I've learned. One of the things I've learned in the 16 years of being elected is this. When I want to get a bill changed, I bring a white woman to be a witness for me in front of these white men. If I bring you to be a witness or Miss Debbie to be a witness, you know, they'd probably be on their phone looking at Instagram while she's talking. You know, and seriously, and it's unfortunate that you have to be. And my point is, you have to be strategic in everything in your approach, in everything that you do, in order to get the effect the change that you want.
And you know,
what was the, hold on a second.
Okay,
What was the number of votes? I mean, how many? I mean, you know, how did the vote? How did the votes look?
You know, you're talking about in
for
the
this
state.
for this redistricting.
Yeah, it went down party lines for the most part. You know, of course, they're in the supermajority in both chambers.
That's right.
And then the Republican governor. And so for us, we did have 2 Republicans, maybe more than that. Believe it or not, we had, you know, I want to say both Republican members, Mark White and John Gillespie, voted against it.
That's right.
And then there were some other, you know, the libertarians, man, I always tell people, libertarians, you know, we're not that far apart, the libertarians and Democrats. Some of the libertarians peeled off and, like, they either didn't vote at all or maybe voted no on the bill. But, you know, but the majority of the other Republicans,
Man, it's because
yeah.
you know, it's hard to overcome a majority.
Yeah.
But it's extremely hard to overcome a supermajority.
And you know, and the thing about it too is, I was thinking when you said it, Touche, about one white woman come in and testifying, will counteract 4 or 5 black men. That harks back to the time when I was growing up. You know, and they said that a black man didn't have any rights at all, that a white man ought to respect. And what do you think about that, man? So this has become real for you young people now. I lived through this before, and I see it coming back again.
You know, it's interesting. When I was, you know, I'm retired from the Shelby County Fire Department. Yeah, and before I was a lieutenant on the fire department, you know, you had these white lieutenants, and you know, and they be just doing some ass backwards shit. You know, getting the pumper stuck out in the field and shit.
Right.
You know, and all this craziness, right? And so I would suggest a strategy to them. You know, all of them that way, but you know,
that's true.
My white lieutenant was this way. And I would suggest a strategy to him, and he would act like I ain't even standing there talking to him, right? So then he'd do the shit and it should be jacked up. Everything get jacked up, and I'd be looking at him like this. But then I got wise and I said, so I told the little white boy who was the same rank as me, private. I said, hey man, go tell Lieutenant Byrd such. And it's the same thing.
That's exactly right.
And then he turned around and, you know, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do it.
Right.
So I started using it.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
exactly
look,
right.
Look, my thing is I don't have ego problems. I got money problems. You know, so I don't care how we get to the end of it. You know, I want to get to the solution.
Right.
You know?
That's exactly right.
And, you know, it's funny, and that happens so often for
you'd be
us.
surprised.
Oh man.
That the ego.
Oh man.
I mean, the good ideal fairy.
Oh man.
They only got a chance against ego.
Oh yeah. You know, let me tell you something. I coined this term in the Tennessee legislature called bill jacking, just like carjacking. You know, so you run your legislation. They act like they hate your legislation. They kill it. They copy and paste your language and run it the next year and pass it. And I'll give you an example of that. Name, image, likeness for college players. I started running that legislation in 2013. And we passed it in 2021 or 2022. But in 2021, Kevin Vaughn, who's state representative from here, Shelby County in Collierville, we both sat on higher education committee. I was running my legislation. We're on the edge because now the nation is saying what I've been saying.
Right,
right,
I was the
right.
first in the nation to
Right,
run it.
right,
Right.
right.
And Kevin Vaughn got in that committee. He was on the committee with me, killed my bill, and then ran the same bill in 2022 and passed it. And here's the thing. You know, I'm like, shit, if you're gonna kill a bill, don't kill the bill. Just take it in broad daylight.
Right.
Let's pass it in 2021.
Right.
You're gonna snatch it anyway. Why you waiting another year? You're hurting the college players with that.
Right.
And I stood up there when he was on the House floor with it. I stood up there right beside him. I signed on it too, co-authored it in my bill. Right. He's #1 signature on it. And I said on the House floor, y'all know that this is a Bill Jack bill. Y'all know, but it's okay.
Right.
Because I'm people over politics. Right.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
and so it's funny, counselor. When you called me a politician at the beginning of the show, Q probably saw me cringe and said, "Cause look, I tell people, man, I'm not a politician.
Right.
I'm a servant that happened to be elected.
That's wonderful.
Right, and there's a difference. You know, politicians are like Kevin Bond, who Bill Jack the bill, so he gets
Well,
credit for it.
you know, and it's I like that.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And, but too often, again, ego.
Yeah,
You know, we even talk about if the local elections
All the
shit.
time.
yeah.
I mean, how do you have 12 and 14 people running for a position, and they all black?
Yeah. Ego. It is that.
You ain't that person. Come on, dog.
And you don't have enough money to even be in it.
But
Come
you
on,
have to-
dog.
But you have to remember this too.
Yeah.
One, that selfishness drives that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's number one.
true.
Number two, sometimes people get encapsulated in their own bubble, in their own space, and especially if you got people around you that are saying yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
you know, and nobody's giving you reality
Right,
checks.
right,
Like it's
right.
good to have your mom around.
Right.
You know, I don't care how successful you get.
Oh my God,
That's
Like,
true.
man, hey,
I know
trash
that
in there,
one.
take that trash out. You damn near the president of the United States. You go
Right,
like,
right.
you know, you gonna take that trash out?
Yeah.
Why you looking at it? Just standing there, look crazy. You know, so it's good to have people that are honest with you.
Yeah, you gotta
right?
take that bass out your
Right,
boy.
right. Like, who you talking to? Right, there,
Right.
that are honest with you
Yeah.
and tell you the real deal. But people get this. This doesn't happen just with folks that are in the political world, but it happens with preachers. It happens with celebrities.
Yeah.
Lawyers?
It happens
I
with-
mean, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so pride. I tell people, man, look. Pride is the #1 killer in the black community, and when I say that, people always ask me, "Why?
No,
How
that's
you?
true.
How's no guns? No,
No,
I said,
no.
I said pride is what would make a person who someone stepped on their shoes in
That's
the
right.
club kill a person.
That's right.
Pride when the dude is on the basketball court and he said, "Yeah, you're female," right?
Yeah.
It'll make him kill a dude
Yeah.
because he said it. Because what's happening is their pride comes into play because there are witnesses
Right.
that are watching
Right. Right.
what is his reaction
Right.
gonna be.
That's
Oh,
true.
oh,
What he
he's a-
gonna do?
and
Yeah.
if he don't do nothing, he's a. You
That's
see what
true.
I'm saying?
That's
So
true.
pride is the #1 killer in the black community because it leads to so many deaths in the
Right.
black community.
No,
But so now, so we've had a nice little general conversation. We've gotten to know each other. But what's the solution? How do we back off from where we are? So what Shelby County at one point was Memphis has the most contributions and tax dollars going to Nashville. Is that right?
Oh, y'all want to
So
talk secession, huh?
look,
Okay.
yeah. So
Nice segue.
how do we fight back? Because one thing we know that everybody recognizes is that dollar.
Yeah.
And the dollar is where our strength lies.
Yeah. Yeah, dollar's where everybody's strength
So
lies.
how do we fight back using that greenback?
So before we even say that, I think it's important to know for people to understand, people that are watching, to understand when you are in the midst of a psyop, and what a psyop is a psychological operation that is being executed by
Brand knows
people in
before.
high places.
Right.
So okay. So right.
Yeah, our brand knows before, yeah.
Right. So my business, Black Market Strategies, my business is marketing, public relations, and public opinion. When people are shifting public opinion, sometimes you can be caught up in a psychological operation that's happening publicly, and this is not conspiracy shit. This is real science.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah, it's
and
real.
real marketing and strategy and manipulation. So you'll have anytime, and here's how you identify if you're in a psyop. If there is something that's happening, and the government is trying to silence dissension from it, right? Then you better believe you are under a psychological operation that is trying to shift opinion to a certain mindset.
That's right.
Now, and that's important to know. Now, and I preface with that because Memphis has been under and in psyop. And watch this. Do you think about it, right? Leading up to this for the last year or 2 years or so, they have had Memphians pitted against each other,
Yes.
left and right,
Yes.
in politics, on XAI, on Marie
Yes.
Fagans, on this, that, and other.
Yes.
And the goal was to make them kill each
Yo,
other.
That's
man,
right.
keep
Right,
them
and
all
I
fighting,
don't
bro.
mean literally kill
No,
each
no,
other.
no,
Well,
no, no, no,
literally
no.
too, but there's
Divide
guns
them.
everywhere. Yeah.
Divide them
Yeah.
because it's easier
To divide and
control smaller factions
Yeah.
than it is a whole entity.
True.
Right? And
Right.
so that I wanted to preface with that, right?
Right.
And then, of course, when you come in and they're doing things like they're doing, or they're doing a school takeover, and then they want you to turn around and point the finger at your elected officials.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly.
And before we get to secession, I want to talk about that briefly for a second. I don't know how we're doing on time.
No,
Here's what happens with black elected officials. Black elected officials, you know, they're on the ground, and the black folks, they love them, and they vote for them, and they get them elected, right? But then when it comes time for re-election, black folks don't want to contribute a dime to the re-election of the person that is up there fighting for
yeah.
them.
That they put in there.
That
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
that they put in there,
Right.
but they're up there fighting for black folks' interests. And then when the re-election comes around, the black folks who they're fighting for their interests for don't help them get re-elected. So what happens is this: the white lobbying special interests come in and fund the black folks to get reelected so that the black folks can fight for the other black folks that didn't contribute anything. And then when the black folks have to respond to those lobbying special interest groups so they can stay in office to fight for the black folks that ain't contributed a dime, these folks then turn on them and say, he done sold out,
Right.
or she done sold out. That's what happens,
Right.
right?
Right.
And now, and this leads to where we're going with secession.
Okay.
It is incumbent upon us to become self-sufficient.
Oh,
Right,
no question.
right.
And to get out of dependency, because we've allowed ourselves to become dependent on other people to provide everything that we need.
Wow.
Let me, let me ask this question. 'Cause
Yes.
I like that. Because succession man, that's a big word.
Oh,
I mean, and it's not just a big word; it's a big act.
Yeah.
yes.
So the real question is, before you can even consider that as a thought process, you have to have a plan to even make because we start off with our dollars or powerful dollars,
Right.
But our dollars also we get some federal dollars,
Right.
but they are passed through the state.
Right.
The question becomes, if we succeed, can we get directly those federal dollars?
So here's the thing. Let me qualify, because there's a lot of misconceptions on what my idea of secession or seceding from the state of Tennessee looks like and means.
Okay.
When I say Memphis should secede from the state of Tennessee, I mean what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not saying it as hyperbole or as some in some symbolic manner or as a soundbite. I'm saying it because I mean that shit. I mean that we should separate ourselves from the state of Tennessee.
I don't disagree. Yeah.
But visually in my mind, what I'm seeing is this separation from the state of Tennessee happening from the eastern border of Nashville and Davidson County all the way to the Mississippi River.
Okay.
And let me qualify why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because Memphis is the #1 contributor of tax dollars to the state of Tennessee tax coffers. Davidson County is #2, and sometimes Davidson County is #1, and Memphis is #2. But it's really, really, really close.
Okay.
And and anytime I ask, I say, because constituents ask me this every year, hey, how much money are we contributing to the state coffers, and how much of that money is coming back
Oh my
to
God!
Memphis?
Do we get back?
Now watch this. So secession is about government accountability. Now they redrew these lines in Memphis and Shelby County, and we're the top tax contributor to the state. Now, where is the government accountability in the ability for us to decide our own self-determination or our own representation? So if we're contributing all of these dollars, we are the top prize, or we are the pride.
That's right.
Of the state of Tennessee.
Right.
That's
Oh,
right.
No
Right?
doubt. No doubt
And
about
there's
that.
no way that you should be treating us like a wet food stamp.
Exactly.
Right? You know,
Yeah.
and taking a sledgehammer to this region, right? And I want you to think about this. Now, and this is where, you know, where Memphis and Shelby Countyans, black and white, have to remove any barriers to unification.
That's right.
Because Memphis is the mecca or the hub to everything economically for, central to northern Mississippi, hell, all of Arkansas.
Wow.
You know, and a lot of Illinois going up to St. Louis, right? And then into Middle Tennessee, right? And I want you to think about that circle right there in the southwest corner of the state of Tennessee. And the state of Tennessee is 7.5 hours long if you drive it. Right here in the corner in southwest Tennessee is housed 50% of the African American population of the entire state of Tennessee.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
But yet it is the economic driver, not just for the state of Tennessee, but for the region.
Oh, wow.
Jerome, hey, that shouldn't be a shock to you, Jerome. Let me
Come on,
interrupt you.
bring it home. Yeah.
You talk about this every day. Debt collectors come
Oh,
from
you're right.
Arkansas.
You're sure right.
They come from Alabama.
You're sure right
They
there.
come from Nashville. They come from Knoxville. All the way down to Shelby County
That's
to
right.
get that debt collection money. It's the same damn thing. It's just
Sure
this is just a
is.
different arena.
Yeah, and let me give you a little more additional context too. So, you know, the Republicans are trying to take over everything that is an economic driver in the state
That's
of
right.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
I got
Right,
that.
that's the reason for Memphis. and
That's
Shelby
the
County
whole
schools.
why.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with academics. And I keep on
Right.
telling people this.
Because they couldn't run it when they had it. They couldn't run it.
Man, dude, look, listen.
Yeah.
The state has 2 school districts that perform way worse than Memphis and Shelby County schools right now.
Right.
Today.
Right. No, I know.
But here's where I'm going with this. So the state is trying to take over the schools.
Right.
They're coming from Memphis Light, Gas, and Water next.
Right.
You better believe it.
Right.
Next year. Remember this. And when we go back in
Oh,
January,
my
they're coming
God,
for Light,
yeah.
Gas, and Water. Right. And they are also going after the airports and entertainment.
Yeah.
Those are the drivers.
They've done that in Nashville because that went through constitutional challenge in Nashville.
And they lost
Yeah.
because it was unconstitutional.
Right.
But then what they did, they created this commission
Right.
that now has authority over all of the airports. Now, but watch this though.
Yeah.
Here's what came out in the committee. I think they said that B&A, Nashville's airport, generates, I want to say it was either $8 or $12 billion per year. But Memphis Airport generates $60 billion.
I was gonna say I would think Memphis drew way more than
Wait,
that. Yeah.
dude, did you hear what I
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
So this and guess what? Taxes are paid on that.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
oh, yeah.
It's to the state.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so this goes to show you, and this is the point I'm trying to get to, right? That we need to understand our value. If we understood our value as Memphians
Yes.
and Shelby Countyans, and I'm talking about both black and white,
Sure.
there wouldn't be a black and white fight between the municipalities and the suburbs and the city of Memphis.
Right.
Everybody would be locked in.
That's right. That's right.
If we understood our value, there would be no fighting back and forth over a stranger who came into the city like the Pied Piper and pulled everybody. I don't know how to. I almost cursed. I don't know how the hell that happened.
Right.
Right. Here, somebody comes in from out of town. Ain't nobody just shows up, and then the whole city is following her. Half the city following her around.
yeah.
That's like the Pied Piper. Man.
Yeah.
I don't get that. But we wouldn't be having. It wouldn't even be a conversation.
Right.
If we understood our value.
That's
and
right.
see, what it is you have people that don't feel like they are valued until they're validated
Right.
by somebody else.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, now they are following this person like this person is the Pied Piper. Right? And so now, when we understand our value and we understand what we contribute to the state of Tennessee, we know that we should not be taking that shit.
That's right.
Now, and think about this. Hell, you the perfect person. You the perfect example. How many divorces have you provided cover for and pulled out of situations because that woman or that man was in an abusive relationship? You ain't got thousands.
Yeah.
Right? Thousands, right?
Available.
Right.
It's available.
Right.
Yeah, right.
So,
Right.
so we encourage women to get out of abusive relationships.
That's exactly right.
By any means necessary,
Right,
whether
that's
exactly
legally
right.
or physically, however, get out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
If it was children in an abusive or neglected relationship, we would be rescuing
will
them.
come and rescue them out of the-
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, if it was a dog in an abusive or neglected relationship, criminal charges would be filed against
Yeah.
the person.
That's
that's
exactly
abusing and
right.
neglecting them.
Yeah.
A dog.
That's
dog,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
No, I got
Now,
it.
now, how do you leave yourself as a whole city and county in an abusive relationship with the state being the abuser and the neglector?
You're absolutely correct.
So you have to understand your value,
Right.
right? And,
Right.
and be like, that's some bullshit. I ain't putting up with this shit. I
Right.
ain't gotta put up
Right.
with this shit.
Right.
That is why
That's
I'm
right.
saying
That's right.
secession.
That's right.
Well, and look, I hear what you're saying, and I get it. But you know, I think my thought is deep. Because my thought is, no, man, the hell with the state. You know, and let's do this thing. But the problem is, we won't be able to get together to make that happen.
I disagree. I disagree.
Tell me
I
how.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. Tell me how, because
Respectfully, I disagree.
no. There's no reason why we shouldn't be a metro, or no reason why we shouldn't be a combined government. Why aren't we?
I'm happy to answer. You
Well,
want to add to that?
Yeah.
Well,
Help me out now, y'all. Oh no.
Well, there you got to remember. See, that's what happened. Young people don't know the history
I don't know.
of why we got two governments,
Yeah.
because we had to create another government in order to have some representation.
Right.
That's why you got Shelby County and the city of Memphis
Right.
there.
Right.
You could never win a citywide race back then. So that's why they had to create Shelby County. Every time a black person ran, they got defeated, because when you start bringing all the other folk in, they got defeated. So we had to get a separate.
And the numbers were
government.
different back then too.
And so
Yeah,
that's
and
why.
outer line
that-
Shelby versus
that-
city of Memphis.
And
Yeah.
so everybody's talking about why we got it. It's because just the same way reason why we have the Ben F. Jones National Bar Association, because white folks wouldn't treat us right, so we had to create our own.
Right.
So it's the very same thing with the
But-
city, with the governments.
Yeah, but Jerome, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
But
I get your question.
I'm there.
Right.
But at some point, if we gonna do something, if we gonna get out of that relationship, I need help.
So here's what I see. I'm a visual person. Here's what I see. You know, one, the state of Tennessee is not going to willingly hand over.
Ever.
It's like,
It ain't gonna happen,
listen.
yeah.
Oh, man.
And you know what? And we prayed about it. We marched about it. We sung songs. We sung Kumbaya.
They'll let you
But-
do that. Yeah, they'll let you do
Oh,
that.
my God,
You
yeah.
fall out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because you know one of the things about black folks, we're the most studied people on the earth.
That's
and,
true.
Under the petri dish more than anybody.
That's
So
true.
They know what we're going to do.
That's
because of it.
exactly right.
So they'll let you march until you fall out.
Right.
You know, they'll be like, they'll forget in 3 months. Who's talking about George Floyd today?
Right. That's
Yeah,
exactly
that's
That's
exactly
exactly
about
right.
Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
That's exactly
they
right.
know.
Yeah.
They know what the pattern is, right?
Right.
But here's what I'm saying with this. To your point, why aren't we in metro government, right? Because they haven't been forced to come to terms with us understanding our value.
That's right.
Dude, you got that value piece, that esteem piece.
That's right.
Right? When Memphis, the strength, I used to tell Dorsey Hobson them this shit all the time. Dorsey, I told all of the superintendents except for Marie Fagans this. Dorsey, who was behind him?
George Ray.
George Ray,
Yeah.
and then
Right now it's Richmond, Rod.
yeah,
Richmond.
Rod and told his ass the same thing. Tony, all of them friends of mine, right?
Right.
But I told them this. I said, how is it that you're the biggest school district in the state of Tennessee, and you come up here to Nashville and they are running shit against you left and right,
Right.
and you getting your ass whooped, and you are just a big ass chump on the playground.
Right.
You're the biggest. You should have 6 lobbyists, right?
Right.
You see what
That's
I'm saying?
right. That's
you should have
right.
lobbyists out the ass.
That's
you should have
right.
a lobbyist for each individual Republican up there.
That's right.
Right. That whoever got the relationship with this one, they are lobbyists.
That's right.
Whoever got it with this, but you want a nickel and dime instead of putting that lobby money behind this shit, right?
Exactly.
To kill all of these bills,
Yeah.
kill takeover, kill any. If a motherfucker think about it, you gonna run a primary.
That's exactly right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but instead, you got this person and that person. You know, these little charter organizations and the voucher folks all running their little lobbyists against you, and you the big dog on the dog.
Right.
Now,
Right.
now, this is the same mindset that Memphis, the city of Memphis and Shelby County should have, right? You the big dog in the state.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
You should be having a lobbying effort that that's never been matched.
That's exactly right.
Ever,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You see what I'm
No,
saying?
no,
you know,
you preaching to the choir, man.
Now, and here's where I'm going with this too. So, when you understand that value, your value as city of Memphis, right? And we stand up and we start looking at these municipalities like, you better get your ass in line,
Right.
Right with this, or you going, because we're when we say we're leaving,
Yes.
and we are their economic drivers, Arlington, Millington, Germantown, this, that, and other. Their folks eat off of us.
Yes.
Right.
That's
They all work in
That's
Memphis.
exactly right. That's exactly right, yeah.
They eat off of the city of Memphis. And until Memphis stands up and understands who the hell they are,
That's right.
they're going to continue to exploit the city of Memphis, right? And it's time to stand up. Now, once you stand up and you say, y'all better bring y'all ass on, y'all better come with us, right? Then they're going to, come with, and let me be clear. This is going to take the brightest, smartest legal minds.
That's right.
Right, coming together for one mission. It's also going to take the smartest economic minds coming together. And the state will never, ever want to willingly hand over Memphis. And think about Memphis and Nashville, right? But it's going to be the economic push or holdback. That's it.
And I like that too. I like that.
That forces them to
Because
take their hands off.
if Nashville and Shelby County come together, it's a wrap.
Let me tell you what that would look like.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you're
this
the
is what
man.
that creation would look like.
Yeah.
So you now have the 51st state of West Tennessee, one of the richest, either bipartisan or Democratic states in the union.
Right.
Right. And so all your schools will be paid. Your schools will get the funding that they're supposed to have.
They're supposed to have, right.
Roads are nice. This, that, and so on and so forth. Right. But the state of Tennessee will plunge into the poverty.
Oh my!
abyss,
They will go to
worse
yeah.
than that of West Virginia.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Yes.
And
no
that's
doubt.
that. But when we understand who
Oh, yeah.
we are,
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But
you're right.
I hear you. But what does that look like?
Yeah.
How does that happen? I used to tell O'Neill a couple of years ago that I thought about a way to do it is to withhold our tax dollars
that's the economic side.
by not spending in Memphis, but we got the surrounding areas, And I talked about how we could have a train, like a car, like a train of cars going to Arkansas, Mississippi, in order to spend money to show them that's how we're going to drain the funds away and keep them from going to Nashville.
I say that you create your infrastructure and you start pouring into it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
converting that revenue
Yes.
to the infrastructure that will be that entity.
How did we lose the casinos in Tunica? How did we lose it? Turn around and do the same thing. Didn't learn when we lost Tunica.
Yeah.
Then we let West Memphis pick up the
Man,
casinos
we lost
as well.
Casinos, we lost weed to every state around. We lost everything. Right. And it's because of the lobbying effort of those entities. When they were deciding to go down in Mississippi, the lobbying effort of the state of Mississippi, the lobbying effort of the casinos, they got to those legislators.
And they got to the preachers that said, "Hey, we don't want that."
Right, yeah.
But now
But
when we
that's
go,
their psyop.
but
Yeah,
when we go to Tunica, Shelby County cars are all
and let
over the
Koji
place.
come in here.
So somebody, but the problem becomes, how do we choose leadership? Leadership, there's a vacuum in that particular spot. Again, egos won't let us, say, look, man, let me do this time, and then your time will come around. But nobody wants to wait. Everybody wants to be the #1 chief with no Indians.
Interestingly enough, secession is on everybody's mind right now.
That's good.
Literally right now. If you go on social media, you are going to see everybody is talking about secession from the state of Tennessee when it comes to the city of Memphis. And it came about because, because I said it on Florida, but this is not the first time I said it.
Yeah.
About 8 years ago, they withheld about $250,000 from the city of Memphis in the budget because we removed those Confederate statues. And I said it then, and I was talking about it then. But now, but I can give two shits about a Confederate statue.
Right.
But to remove the voice of the people, and I want you to think about this. And I love the fact that y'all are lawyers, so I'm sure they taught y'all this in law school, right? When the King of England was setting up these colonies over here, right? And what's crazy about this, I don't want to go down another rabbit hole because I got rabbit holes all over the place, but I can go down because I love history.
Right.
So when the King of England was setting up these colonies, and they were sending people over here, and the kings decided, hey man, we're sending this coffee and sugar over here. These are staples: coffee, sugar, tea, right? And
molasses,
molasses,
Right.
these things, these are staples. And the king said, y'all gonna pay taxes on this.
Your tax, right?
And here's the part that everybody misses about that Tea Party. When the folks got mad, we don't want to pay taxes. That's taxation without representation.
That's my cousin, Tom Paine.
Right. Taxation without representation.
Right.
So these people start dumping the tea into the Boston Harbor. Right. But here's the thing that people miss on that historical moment is it was the poor people dumping the tea in the harbor who wasn't even getting taxed. It was because they couldn't afford the staples. It was the rich people getting taxed by the king. Poor people couldn't afford sugar and tea. But the poor people always get manipulated by the rich folks to complete their actions.
That's true.
Now, going back, I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole. So we're gonna stop at just below the hole. Right. So now, but going back to the taxation without representation. Right, this is what we're in, and it's so ironic, and so hypocritical that we're even having this conversation because this is what you white folks founded this country on, or supposedly became revolutionary about, and what you expect us not to become revolutionary.
I was about to say that in the preamble, it talks about to the Constitution about how a nation that does not support our right to have is
Self-determination.
one that we need to separate from. In fact, that's why they claim that they were separated from England, because they were not being
Right to
represented.
Or the North and the South.
Right,
It might
right,
be the same
exactly.
thing.
So yeah, that's what we are.
Right
We're
to
at a
self-determination.
we're at a revolutionary moment. Unfortunately, unless we continue to put air on the fire, keep pumping and make the fire blaze, we'll go back to what we've been doing.
You have
You know, I see people all the time. So we're twerking and we're
Finding
bucking
your fans,
and we're
finding
you know
fans
yeah
and
we
shit.
and them
Glad
folks
when they find that damn fan.
taking everything from us,
Right. Oh,
man.
dude, man.
We're
Dude.
line dancing.
Dude, I'm glad when whoever hit the fan, they hit it good.
Right.
Where them fans at? They somewhere.
Right,
Yeah,
and so what we have to do, but another thing too is that the average person does not see any benefit from having a school board that's a majority black, or a county commission that's majority black, or a city council, because nothing has changed. We don't still own nothing.
Yeah.
We don't have a hotel. We don't have a gas station. We ain't even got a cell phone store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah, you ready to go down the rabbit hole because I'm
Yeah,
here with a parachute, 'cause
look, that's a whole nother topic, you know. But look, man, Touche, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I'm happy to be here.
You know, and I know I owe you.
Yeah, you really owe me.
Now I owe you. I got to, and I gotta come to your show because you asked me, and I've been like, so now, whenever you tell me it's that time, I'm gonna shut my stuff down and make that
I
happen.
appreciate you.
But I appreciate you being here.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I enjoyed it, man.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
man. This was
beautiful. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and as usual, man, y'all didn't call in and make just get some of that knowledge.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll be back next week, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the show, and we'll see you next week.
They can always jump in them comments.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
when y'all